from the All Indiana Podcast Network. It's Diversity Focus Today, a weekly discussion bringing awareness to cultural diversity in greater Indianapolis and surrounding areas. Now, here's your host, Rickie Solid Gold Clark.
And welcome once again, everyone, to another edition of Diversity Focus Today. I'm your host, Rickie Solid Gold Clark, along with our co-host, Dr. Tammy Harris. We call her Dr. T. And, of course, we got Mike Murray, attorney Mike Murray, back on the set from wherever he was at. You know, he was out on assignment, doing some stuff.
Assignment, right.
Yeah. So, anyhow, we've got a lot to talk about on this particular show. And Mike just mentioned earlier that our former Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, which is a former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, before he joined the Biden administration as Secretary of Transportation.
Right, right. Mm-hmm.
So he was in town to help promote what's going on in Indiana. For those of you that are not in Indiana, Indiana governor and legislators are trying to redistrict our state. Now, we've already got 7 Republican congressional districts and just 2 Democratic districts in the state of Indiana. So they've already got a supermajority. They got the call from Donald Trump and said, hey, we need more. Let's redistrict this so we have the whole state. Wrong answer. But that's what he's trying to do. Republicans in Indiana, and they've got a supermajority in the state legislation. So they've already got the supermajority, but for some reason they bow down to this person, and now they're trying to do this. So Buttigieg came in to rally the troops and the citizens so we can fight the fact of the Republicans trying to get more control here in the state of Indiana. So
in Indiana, they're trying to do what Texas did, which is kind of a in between cycles redistricting of the state, as you said, Rickie,
yes,
in order to gain more Republican seats in Congress, which ultimately is there to protect the Republican agenda and specifically to protect Trump from any repercussions of his actions. That's what that whole plan is all about. They're trying to hold on to power at all costs. So Indiana, I guess they're considering whether to redistrict here, and about 45% of the state, I guess, is Democratic.
Yeah.
And so redistricting would basically tell 45% of the people in Indiana that your votes and your thoughts and your desires do not count. And there are even a sizable number of Republican voters that don't agree with that think that's cheating and trying to get around the rules. But Pete Buttigieg, former Secretary of Transportation and former presidential candidate and former mayor of South Bend, came to town and he spoke at the State House that particular day, right outside the governor's office, basically, talking about how Indiana Republicans are only doing this because they can't win in a fair fight, and so they're only doing this to try to hold on to the power. And I got to tell you, when Pete Buttigieg first came on the national scene, I didn't think the dude stood a chance in hell of getting very far in that election for a variety of reasons. But I listened to him talk. I listened to his logic. I watched his performance and how he addressed people who were even obnoxious to him. The man is extremely intelligent, and he presents salient, cogent, logical arguments. He's never impolite to people, and he is very effective at making his point. And I'm telling you, he was that way when he came to the Indiana State House on redistricting. Wow. Very, very impressive guy.
Wow. Grab your attention. Huh?
Yeah, I hope we can get him on the show one day. I really do. Wow. I actually sent his office a message saying, hey, we'd like to get you on the show. Right. Haven't heard back, but I haven't given up yet. Yeah.
Well, let's keep trying.
So-
If nothing else, we could maybe Zoom in.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Pete, if you're listening or watching, we want to
Staff,
talk.
do
We
all
want
that.
you on
We
the
want you on
show.
the show, yeah.
So could you I guess we talked about it before. Even when these things are redistrict, it doesn't necessarily mean that the person will vote red or blue.
No,
or
it
what have you.
doesn't
so
mean
they
that.
Could so the people who are Republican that feel it's cheating, do you think they would change their vote to blue, or you don't know, or they won't vote at all?
I don't
you
know. I don't know that
The
they would
chances of
actually
that?
change their votes on the substantive issues once they're in office. But some of the Republican legislatures right now who do not support redistricting can continue that non-support of it and maybe convince the governor that there's not enough of a consensus to undertake that right now. Because I hear that a special election session is going
That's what I was about
to cost
to say.
like
Don't
$1
they have
million
to vote?
or something.
That's what I was wondering. They
Yeah,
have to
$1.5
vote on it
million.
anyway, so
Yeah.
they can still strike it down if nobody's all on board
Yeah,
with
right,
it.
right,
Okay.
right.
And that would be, I think, the best way to do it is
Yeah.
just to show.
But they call it redistricting. I call it gerrymandering.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Other
basically
ones
the
call
same
it
thing.
what it really is.
It is.
But they're
it
just
is.
trying to circumvent the rules to silence 45% of the state. They don't want to hear from anybody that doesn't agree with them.
There's a new group that I've heard, and we may even want to try to get them on the program. I think they call the Indiana Independents. These are, independent thinking people, independent potential voters, and I guess they had an election in a local area. I don't know whether it was for a town council or a mayor somewhere in Indiana, and they won very handedly. So, folks are saying, okay, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat, good, I'm going to be an independent. I don't want to be attached to anything. I don't want, and my vote is my vote, so
Right,
I'm
right.
going to vote not for the party,
Right.
but for the person
Right.
who can do the best job for
Yeah,
me.
Ricky, that's one thing that has kept me out of entering politics all my life. I don't want to be known as Mike Murray, he's a Republican, he believes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or Mike Murray, he's a Democrat, he believes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want to be Mike Murray, the candidate that believes this on that issue and this on
Right.
that
And
issue.
you have the
and this
right
on that.
to
Yeah.
your own opinion and
Yeah.
vote based on
So I think that the idea of an independent party probably holds a lot of appeal for people, but we'll see.
See what happens, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What was next on the agenda?
I think you had
Oh.
a event
Oh, yeah.
you've been to.
We one of our my good friends, Gino Shelter, we just did his 40th anniversary,
Yes.
and part
I
of the
remember Gino.
Gino was on
around a
our
bit.
show and
Right.
advertised on our show, one of our sponsors. He had his 40th anniversary recently at Clues Hall on the campus of Butler University, and part of the program, he brought back some old school artists, 4 or 5 of them. If I start naming, okay. For those of you that are into the music, Confunction,
Oh, yeah.
Lakeside,
Dougie Fresh.
Dougie Fresh, Al Hudson and One Way, and who am I missing?
Was it John B?
No, not Johnny. These were
Old school.
I said I knew I would do that. Oh, Midnight Star,
Midnight Star.
Confunction,
Oh, yeah.
Midnight Star, Lakeside, Al Hudson and One Way, and Dougie Fresh.
Okay.
On that, and then that was the Friday night show, and then Saturday he had a bunch of comedians, and I dare not start naming names because I'll forget somebody on that one. But as part of the program, we did a salute to WTLC, which is the 5th oldest R&B or urban station in the country.
Oh, wow.
And I was a part of that history, certainly at the beginning. When I joined the station in 1971, March of 71, AM was still the king.
Yeah.
And so FM, you didn't have FM in the car. If you wanted to have an FM radio in your car, you had to buy an FM converter and convert your AM into an FM.
I'm old enough to remember.
You remember
those
those days? Nathan probably doesn't. He's like, what are we talking about?
Tammy probably does.
Tammy may not.
I just listened to my dad. He was a DJ.
Okay.
Yeah, so my dad probably knew all the gadgets and stuff and music.
Yeah, you mean FM wasn't king? No, AM was king at that time.
Yeah.
that was part of the problem getting folks to convert, and thank God back during that time, too, boom boxes began to become popular. And so boom boxes automatically had, AM and FM on the radio.
Yeah, cassette.
All right, so, but he brought back a lot of the jocks that are still alive, and then we did a memory, a memorial, which was very effective. People still talking about that, and maybe if we can get Brian Wallace, one of our team members, is the one that did that. It was very effective and very well done. But anyway, to bring back all the jocks that were around that are still alive was amazing, because we got a chance to network and see everybody, and there's pictures on Facebook and other places and on T-shirts and that sort of thing with everybody's name on it. But it was like a huge family reunion, seeing folks that you hadn't seen in years, and then a lot of them didn't realize that we had lost certain individuals, until they saw the memorial. So what? He's dead? She's dead? When did that happen? I said, what happened? So, because they look at me as the, not the librarian, what would I be?
Historian?
The historian. The custodian, yeah. I was a custodian. And look, talking about being in the business back in the day, you were everything.
Right.
Custodian,
You
too.
did say that, right.
So, yeah, I served, I had wore that hat, too.
Okay.
Wore that for a while. But, yeah, and so, when did he die? When did she die? And I said, such a time. And I helped put that together with Brian. And so when I put it together and looked at all the names, it's like, we got more folks that are deceased than are actually alive.
Wow.
Really, almost 3 times as much.
Oh, wow.
We had, and so we had, I don't know how many jocks that actually came back, maybe about 17.
Oh, wow. So it's more in the memorial list.
Yeah, it was 36.
Wow.
36 plus. Yeah, 36
sound
people.
young. They must have.
Well,
young.
the station's been on the air since 1968.
Okay.
And we flipped from a classical, because when it was bought, it was a classical station. In fact, it was one of the stations at the University of Indianapolis, and back then it was called Indiana Central University. So that's where the frequency was bought from them, and so, but it didn't start getting traction until 70, 71, 72, because we had to convince people that the FM was the new thing,
right?
And AM was still king, and it really, for the first 3, 4 years, 5 years, we had that was the big thing to convert you from AM to FM. And all the cars back then, most of them strictly had AM radio, so you had to get an FM converter, and if you wanted to get an FM, your Cadillacs and your Lincolns, they started putting FMs in those,
right?
And then then they had tapes, 8-tracks.
Oh, I remember those well.
Yeah, see, and they had 8-track.
Yeah.
What the hell? Look at it. They
about this
give me,
thick and wide and
our producer giving
like
me
a
this
poster,
look like,
yeah.
what?
Yeah.
We had
That's not a
8-track.
thing for a train.
Right.
It's
It got like a thick.
Yeah,
little
it was
cartridge. Yeah.
8 tracks.
To the car. I did.
Yeah, so you remember, and then and radio back then,
Yeah.
we did have cards. It was they looked like maybe an 8-track, and then we went from that to cassette. You might remember cassette. Maybe. He's shaking his head. He may remember cassettes
'cause you had to
before.
pause
All this
and-
before streaming and all this
'Cause
before.
we listened to the
compact
radio.
disc.
My
Compact
friend and I,
disc
we
and all
listen to
that.
the radio, have the cassette in there, record
Yeah.
our playlist,
Yeah.
and pause it.
That's
and then
right.
wait for the
That's
talking
right.
to stop, then push
Yeah, that's
play
how they
again and record.
Making
and
mixtapes.
make our mixtape.
Yeah, man, I
did
listened to
it.
your show, but I had to stop my tape when you played all the commercials. Oh, yeah, well, that's how we made the money. They still make money with the commercials. So yeah,
Right.
we couldn't play the records, the wax. Either
Right.
we had 45. Yeah, Nathan, we had 45. 45
That's
was
a
one
little
song,
song.
and an A side and the B side. Then of course we had the albums, and then even before that, our parents and grandparents had the records they were 78s. They were these big.
Yeah, they had to spin it like that, right?
Yeah, and if you hit somebody with that, hit somebody, it might take your head off.
Come out.
Because they were very, very thick.
So when you were doing that with converting over to FM, what celebrity or anybody that kind of back then started being on the radio, did it impact their career by
Well, we were the
becoming
celebrities.
famous?
Right.
We were the celebrities because the people that never had, first of all, we had never had an urban or an R&B
Okay,
station
so they heard the
in the
black
market.
voice.
All we had was
and-
top 40 and classical
Okay.
and country and talk. That was it. And no, didn't have a sports channel.
Yeah.
You know, the sports was mixed in with your regular station.
Mm.
Because with TLC, we would have news
Okay.
at the top and bottom of the hour. We would have a sports director who did sports and part of the news, weather, and basically everything that they got in there. News, sports, weather, traffic. And folks, I mean, that was new to the market.
And what was your role? The blue light?
Well, my show, I had a number of shows,
Oh.
but the show that actually stuck was, Solid Gold was the name that actually stuck, because back then we used our name, or we didn't use our real name.
Right.
So I was like Professor Cool, that didn't stick. I was called the one and only, that didn't stick. What stuck was Solid Gold. When one of the
Okay.
salespeople, Russ Dodge, is the one that came up with that. I think you need to Solid Gold, Solid Gold. And so we started using that, and that's what it stuck for all these. It's still sticking, because even at every event, they may not call my name Rickie Clark, Rickie Solid Gold Clark, everything,
Okay.
Rickie Solid Gold Clark. So that's why, we put that into the show, because people knew that as Solid Gold, Rickie Solid Gold.
Did they
Clark.
make a TV show out of you?
Gold
Solid
member?
Gold.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
Solid
number
Gold.
of things. So that was amazing to see everybody back, and
Aw.
we would reminisce, and everybody talk about the records and the CDs and the 8-tracks and so what have you. But I have been on the air in this market the longest, and I guess I am there's one other guy that's older than me, and that's Spider Harris, who you probably may see him on TV because he does a lot of TV work. Am I it? Yeah, because Jay is gone. So now I'm the oldest in the market
We in presence.
constantly, and
Yeah.
second oldest as far as all the jocks that were at the station, and second oldest with the one that's still alive, and the first oldest for the one that's more so here, because Spider now is doing more TV and movies out in L.A.
The elder statesman.
I'm the elder
Hey,
statesman.
the
so-
historian. Well,
You
I
know that-
appreciate all that.
Yeah.
I do too, and it was
Appreciate you.
interesting to hear you say that WTLC came on the air in '68. My family moved to Indianapolis in 1973. We moved here from Hawaii when my dad was in the service, and I remember WTLC when we first got here, but I was always under the impression that it had been here forever.
Oh no!
But '68
Wow.
was just just a
Wow.
few years
Years.
before we
No,
got
and
here.
then we 68, and when we bought it from the university, it was classical,
Wow.
and it stayed classical really up until 69 and maybe 70, because folks, well, why didn't they flip it? Well, classical stations at the time did not have to have the entire equipment that you needed to do commercial. And of course, the station was a university school, a university station. And their requirements, even now, is a little bit different than commercial. So we had to convert and buy new equipment, because the equipment that the university had was old and antiquated.
Wow.
And they had to get towers and all that other stuff. They had a 50,000 watt, the university did, but they didn't realize that they had it, and they didn't know how to use it. And, so we had to bring in top engineers that knew.
Right.
And they said, told Dr. Lloyd, you got a 50,000 watt.
Right.
He thought he had just bought a 25,000
Oh,
watt
wow.
station. He said,
Okay.
no, you got a 50,000 watt, which means you cover damn near all of Indiana.
Oh, wow.
And on a clear night, you can get up into down south into Louisville and some of the other markets. We couldn't go too far north because Chicago markets was a lot stronger.
Yeah.
But we could go from
Gary?
from Marion.
Oh, okay.
We couldn't get to Gary because
Okay.
the
It's
Chicago frequencies were
right.
stronger than ours. But we could get to Marion, Indiana. We could get to Lafayette from Purdue.
Okay.
You know, and anything south. So Indiana University, India, this and that, we could do that. And so by the time they got through tinkering it and buying the equipment and adding stuff to the station, we were then able. By the time you got here, you know, we were rolling.
Is
We
the
were rolling
formula
in.
the same? Like the way the shows are, like you said, they had sports and music. They all laid the foundation of how kind of things are now, or is it more broad and with voices and cable and YouTube and things like that? Or
No,
it's still basis?
Well,
basics, I
we did
guess.
news and sports and things, and our traffic, which I constantly think is not done correctly. You cannot do traffic in 10 or 15 seconds.
Right.
You know, there's more to it than that. And we would, if it took a minute or 2 minutes to talk about traffic, and hey, you cannot go the interstate and this and that. And back then, the only interstate we had was they had built 465. Didn't have 60. Well, we did have 65. Put it that way, because they were building that. Because originally, I lived in the city. My folks lived in the city, and Interstate 65 goes right through our living room.
Oh,
So
okay.
everybody that was on the northwest side and other parts of where 65 is, all of that was homes. So, but anyway, we just had WIFE. That was the top 40 station, and then at night we could turn in and pick up WLAC out of Nashville. And so, you know, but when TLC came in the market, it was, you know, we were the bomb.
Yeah.
We were the celebrities for years and years, and still are. But you know, when a TLC jock would show up to do a record hop or do a concert or do a nightclub appearance, that was a big deal. I mean, you were the major draw.
We used to have those stickers, those WTLC
Yeah, I
stickers.
Oh, yeah.
that
We had the
talked
phrase that
about.
pays
Everywhere.
and,
Yeah,
and
the
the
phrase
sticker.
that
remember.
pays, I remember that.
Yeah, the phrase that
I've-
pays and the TLC sticker, which we had to install. That was part of the thing. The jock would be in the van behind you, and so I'm
Oh.
behind a blue Chevrolet Capri, and we're traveling southbound on Meridian Street. We just passed Channel 8, 19th and Meridian, you know, and
Wow.
people, if they're listening, they're going to pull over. If you pull over now, I'm going to stick you up. And so we put the
Ah.
stickers in there, plus they would get normally a
Prize. or
a
something.
prize as well.
Oh, nice.
You know, and so folks would be listening, man, you know, let me pull over.
me.
And if you had 2 or 3 cars, sometimes we'd pull over and people would be listening. We'd say, pull over, and here's like 5, 6, 7 cars, then pulled over, and you know.
And you just stick them.
And we stick them. We stick them up.
Stick you up.
That was one of the best promotions that we ever did, and that's how folks would see in the back of the windows. And some cars, older cars, still they had the TLC sticker, but that was good for discounts. That was good for prizes, and so.
Well, our
Great
family had
promotion.
moved out here in the 90s.
Okay.
So I come from Illinois, the Chicago market, so it's WGCI.
Yeah, GCI was there.
So I was like,
And E. Rodney
okay, I
Jones
can
and all
do
those folks.
WTLC.
Yeah.
And I've been listening to that since I've
Yeah.
been here as
Yeah.
well. And then
So-
since-
So that's how we. I mean, that's how we did it, and that's how TLC became TLC. And yeah, there's a difference now. I'm not very happy with how they do things right now because I think they could do a lot better, and I think they could serve the public a lot better.
more
But, you
community
know,
events and
Yeah.
stickers.
So, mind you,
on
folks,
the
if I ever
cars.
get enough money to buy the group stations,
Well,
then
that's
I
where
would.
actually our free voices are going now. And
Yeah,
you have to own the
so
media and
you do.
be able to branch out and be heard.
Right, and make if you're going to make changes, you'd really have to be in control of your station and of whether it's radio or TV or both, you know. And so I was fortunate enough to in my career be able to run both radio and TV and be on and so on, what have you. So it's been fun. We're still rolling. Folks look at you like,
you are
man, you've been
still
at it,
here.
you know. So what?"
Rolling.
And the funny thing about it, it's always, when I get introduced a lot to families, Now the grandparents are saying, yeah, I listen to him. I grew up listening to him. And then the kids, whether it's the adult kids or the younger kids, they give this, they're like, wow. My grandparents used to listen?
Yeah.
Or my mother and father used to listen?
Yeah.
Wow. And the expression they had is, dude, how old are you?
Right. You look young.
Dude, how old are you?
Yeah, I'm using Ryan's words. Dude, how old are you, man? So yeah, but it's been a blast. And for the station to be around for as long as it has been, since really 1968.
Right.
And for the jocks to hats off, and they came from all over the country to be a part of this celebration. So it was amazing to see everyone that you had worked with and part of. It's a big family.
That's what it says.
TLC is a big family, and so to see your family members as if it was a reunion, which it was amazing.
Nice.
And you have poetry.
Yeah, we got give us the poetry because our time frame is dropping down. Just give us that poetry.
I was going to mention that October 17th is National Black Poetry Day. So grab a piece of poetry. My grandfather was a poet. He was very much in favor of Emily Dickinson, who was not a black poet, but October the 17th is Black Poetry Day, and in honor of that, I wanted to just mention one of my favorites, which is the Langston Hughes poem called I Too. So if you'll indulge me 1 second, I'll read it real quick.
Okay.
His poem went this way. I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow I'll sit at the table when company comes. Nobody'll dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America.
Okay.
Beautiful. I just love
Beautiful.
that.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Wow. We got a lot of talent here. A lot of talent. An attorney, a doctor, and then me, an artist.
I'm an artist first.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. You're an artist first.
Yeah.
I got to get used to that. I like, the doctor artist. Okay. Yeah. So
I'll take that.
You'll take that?
You
Okay.
call me anything, but dirty,
Don't-
Not no dirty Tammy or
This is a family show,
right?
You heard it first.
Yeah.
All right, we got to go. We got to wrap this up.
YouTube,
but we
Facebook,
are
you catch us there.
YouTube,
Comments
Facebook.
and questions. Always looking for topics.
And questions, and
there we go.
And but remember, it takes both black and white keys of a piano to play the Star Spangled Banner.
Such a
but
poet.
with that thought in mind, with Mike as a poet, GoFundMe.
GoFundMe, Facebook and YouTube channel. Find us.
Okay, we are out of here. We'll see you next time
Thank
on another
you.
edition
Bye-bye.
of Diversity Focus Today.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This is Diversity Focus Today with Rickie Solid Gold Clark. Watch Sundays on Wish TV. Be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast and check out other great podcasts on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Online now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.